Could your daily routine be full of hormone disruptors? There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living rent-free in our environment right now. In our food, our water, the air we breathe, the clothes we wear, our skincare, they all mess with our hormones. The good news is we don't have to suffer through it anymore because now we have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms of women of all ages. Since I've been using Hormone Harmony, I have felt more balanced, and other women feel the same way. The biggest benefit, they say, is feeling like myself again. That's what women mention over and over in their reviews, and there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code DATEABLE at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DATEABLE for 15% off today.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Krafchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Brunch Talk, where we answer your burning dating questions.
And we get to dish and catch up like we're at brunch. And we're at brunch with all of you.
And we still didn't get brunch this last time in San Francisco.
I know. Why have we been failing so epically? It's been too much. I swear yesterday, I just laid down. I was like, I'm tired. It was after like our very last event. I was like, I can't. I can't function.
I'm pretty sure I was snoring on my flight back to LA. I'm pretty sure. You know how you can tell when your like throat is kind of sore after you get it? I was like, pretty sure the whole plane heard me snore.
I thought I was getting sick, but I've come back from it. Like, I don't feel like I'm getting sick anymore. I hit like a little point, but anyways, the time of recording, we still have one more time that we'll be in LA together. And we also have some events coming up in April too. So we have time for brunch. But I think we should make it a point to get brunch this trip.
Yes. Let's definitely get brunch. We have
with
to.
The book. Yes. Okay. Love it. Love it. Plan made.
No, I think it's just crazy that I was in SF for a week and we didn't have time for brunch. It's not like we didn't want to. We just did not have time for brunch.
It was pretty busy, but also we did dinners together.
Yeah.
So we just kind of, changed the meal. But it was really fun. Initially, Yue and I were supposed to do our own dinner to celebrate everything, which we still will. But your partner was in town. He ended up coming up and staying a little longer. So we did a double date instead for sushi.
Yeah, that was really nice. That was really nice. He was able to get away for 2 days. So we spent nice 2 days in San Francisco, played tourist. And, I stayed in Japantown and I never really hung out in Japantown. I remember telling you this. And I didn't realize how convenient that location is and how cute and quaint it's
a great
so
area.
I'm definitely going to stay more in Japantown next time in town.
When I worked in corporate, and people like came up to visit, I would always recommend like Hotel Kabuki and the one that you stayed in. I'm blanking on the name now.
Kimpton,
yeah. Because I feel like they're good areas that aren't in like the touristy areas.
Yes.
I think San Francisco, like you can easily come here and never experience the actual city. If you go to Union Square and Fisherman's Wharf, that's not real San Francisco.
I know. And there's so many hotels in Union Square.
Yeah, they're all there.
If you didn't know anything about San Francisco, you would think it was super convenient. It's close to downtown. It's like close to the shopping. And then you get there and it's freaking ghost town.
Well, it's the neighborhoods are where everything is at.
Yeah, Japantown. Like this is the SF hack. Japantown's perfect place to stay.
Well, Japantown's like pretty close to like Pac Heights and the Marina and Hayes Valley. It's a really central area. Like Nopa, Divisadero. There's a lot of good areas that it centers around.
Yes,
everyone that is not from San Francisco is like, what? But remember this, if you ever find yourself on a trip.
And we ventured out to the Fillmore Bakery. That was so good. There were so many amazing baked goods. I'd never been there before, and it was so cute.
I think I know which one you're talking about, and it was like very close to my old place, but I'm not quite sure if I've ever been there.
It's so
I've
fun
walked by
playing
it,
tourist.
if it's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it's like you would never, it's not like you want to go in there and hang out. I can't see you going in there and hanging out by any means. But a Fillmore Bake Shop. It is on Bush. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I know which one you're talking about.
So
Yeah, it's
cute.
super cute. Yeah, it's a great area. But it was fun to have you back. We did a couple great dinners like with people after the events too. That was really fun. Like we did one on Friday night on Valentine's Day. We had like a group of like 15 to 20 people at Palm House
Yes.
on Union Street. That was really fun. Also their ahi tostada things were freaking
That was
amazing.
good.
I want to go back just for that.
That was
It's like
good.
so
Yes.
good. I'm a sucker for ahi.
It was so nice. Your partner saved me one. He's like, you should try this. And
Oh,
I saw it on the menu, but I didn't get it. And I'm so glad I tried it. Thank you for saving me one. It was delicious.
we got you. We got you. No, that was really fun. And then we went to this place I hadn't been in years that was near Manny's in the Mission. That was one of our other venues
Yes.
that we did. What was it called? It was like Pico or something. It's like a
Picaro.
tapas place. Picaro. Yeah, I hadn't been there in years, but really solid. And also, we kind of there was a lot of people too. So we did like subgroups and
Mhm.
our bill was $15 each.
Oh, it was such a good deal. Such a good deal. If you're visiting SF anytime soon, please take notes because we found some gems. Picaro's like you get amazing paella split anywhere between 2 to 6 people. I think that's where the size variations, but it is so affordable and it's like legit Spanish food. It was so good.
And then in Marin, too, I actually stayed the night with some friends because some of my friends came from further East Bay and one of them even Sacramento, which is a drive, which was so nice that they came.
Yeah.
But we ended up staying the night and like making it like a girls' Galentine's celebration, too. So we got this hotel that was close by that actually was pretty nice. It was like Marin Suites and it was like $60 each, like split 4 ways, but still like pretty inexpensive. And we all like went back there before like you and other people went back to the city and we had champagne and my friends revealed they got me a trophy.
I know. I was going to say, I learned something new about Julie. I thought I knew everything about Julie, but this is the beautiful thing about relationships. You just keep learning about each other. I learned about Julie's trophy fetish. Please proceed.
I don't know how I've never told you this, but I guess maybe it was by design. I never told. But yeah, when I was younger, I was very obsessed with trophies. And I had a very shameful moment in my past that I brought up. I told my friends this story and they've kind of never let me live it down. And I've had birthdays. Like I think there was one birthday, maybe it was my 30th. My best friend Kate flew in. She lived in California at the time. It couldn't have been my 30th birthday. Maybe it was my 25th. I don't remember. It was early. I lived in Boston and she flew in as a surprise and brought a trophy, this massive trophy to my birthday party. But anyways, when I was younger, I went to camp and the greatest honor was to get the best all around camper. That's what everyone strive for. So as an achiever, and I think I'm like an achiever in dating, but I might be even like more of an achiever in other parts of life too. I had my eyes set on this trophy. I was like, I need a win, best all around camper. And then the ceremony came and I got like the worst trophy, kind of like the participation player. Like everyone gets one. It was like this small plastic one, like not nice. And I don't know what it was. I don't even know how old I was at this time, maybe like 12. I was like embarrassed that I got this trophy. So I stole a girl's trophy, the same one. So at least I could say I had 2 of the trophies. And then everyone was searching for her trophy because she couldn't find it. And I was part of the search party because I couldn't let on. And I had a tense about a shame that I did this. So I hid the trophy in my closet. I never told my parents about it. And I only said I got one trophy. And all these years later, I feel like that was like a wake up call for me to not be dishonest and not steal and lie. Because like, I feel like I'm like pretty tell it as it is. Like, I don't feel like I bullshit a lot and lie about things. And I think I needed that moment in my formative years.
But then the next year you got a trophy.
I did eventually win best all around camper.
Okay, let's just.
I was like, okay, the path is not to steal. I'm going to just better myself. That is such a metaphor for many parts of life, including dating. I'm not going to focus on what I don't have. I'm going to better myself.
I love how this like trophy stealing story has made Julie the person that she is today. But I will also agree that I think you're almost incapable of lying. I think I would know if you were lying.
It really did something to me.
Yeah. I don't think you're able to hide anything that's inauthentic to you.
No, like when everyone was searching for this trophy that I stole, it really impacted me. It made me feel terrible.
So I don't know how I didn't know this trophy story, but your partner did because apparently he gave you a trophy for best girlfriend.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It gave me like a trophy ornament. My friends, I'll give them a shout out. They were actually my original friends in San Francisco. So it was my friend Kate, Tara, Vanessa, and Noelle. They got me this trophy and they like had it custom made at a trophy shop. And it was really endearing and sweet.
Can we just repeat that again? Because I think Kate would really appreciate the fact that it's not a plastic trophy. It's like an actual heavy ass trophy that you would get for a real competition.
So I'm a little behind just in life from the last couple weeks, but I will be putting it in my backdrop. It is not there yet, but it will be on my backdrop. So if you're looking and watching this on any clips and stuff, the trophy will be visible.
We were joking that Julie in their house are gonna have like a trophy case. Just all these like fake trophies that people have given her throughout the years.
It's funny because like now I'm not like I need a trophy, but back in my earlier life, I definitely, it was a way to measure my self-worth. And then I started dating and measuring my self-worth there.
You're like, okay, I don't need a second date, but can you give me a trophy as a consolation prize?
But I mean, honestly, they're actually, okay, like in all seriousness, there is a correlation here, right? Like I felt like I always needed to like prove myself and the worthiness that came from this validation of having this seal of approval. And I think that has followed me into other parts of life and it's still there. It's not completely gone. I'm able to acknowledge it and recognize it when it's creeping in now. But yeah, like looking back into the childhood moments and all that, you can see where a lot of this shit comes from.
Part of what's so fun about these events is like we've had different friends come out. And I actually believe that the different friends bring out different sides of us. And I think after going this week to San Francisco and seeing some of like your older friends, not old as an age, but like the friends who've been with you since the beginning of time in San Francisco, they bring out a different side of you. It's really fascinating. Like every event has been a little different depending on who's in the audience.
What would you say that is?
I actually think you have like this kind of really playful, silly side of you that these girls bring out in you.
Interesting.
You were like really into like the joking in Marin. Like you were joking about Larry David. Like
I see.
That's a side of you that you were like leaning more into because I think that's the side that these girls bring out in you.
Although one of them did say this made me really happy because we were talking about like in the actual talk we did about meeting people like later in life. And my friend Vanessa was like, I actually feel like you're an example of like one of the most healthy and mature relationships I've seen. And that's probably a testament to meeting someone later in life. And I'm like, oh, that means so much to me that you said that.
Yes, especially when everybody's been through their relationships already and you're kind of like, okay, am I the last one to figure this out? But no, like you've just been more intentional about your relationship and really using everything, all the lessons that you've learned.
I always talk about her, my girl crush, Nikki Novo, but I will repeat something she said to me. And it was like, she's like, you're the type of person that needs to observe before doing. And that was like, build a podcast, talk about dating, relationships, and really learn before actually doing the thing. And probably like for next stages of life and children and all that. So I think that is a quality that sometimes like I'm bringing this up for other people to reflect too. It's like, just because you're not the first one there, that's not always a bad thing. Like that actually could be a real asset.
Yes. And you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that other people have done for you. A bunch of our married friends have shown up to these events and on some level, like I think they're absolutely there to support us. But this is why we're friends with them because they all came with such an open mind. And I think everybody left with something they learned from the discussions, even though they're not actively dating. Like my friend Rebecca was like, I really learned that in relationships, it is about healing and healing yourself and healing each other. And she's been in a long-term marriage now. And she's like, I'm still learning how to do that in my relationship. And then someone else was telling me in their marriage, they're just learning how to grow together, but also grow
Mm.
independently. How do you be autonomous and independent, but also have a track where you grow together?
I love that. And the reality is it's a lifelong journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not doesn't end after you meet the person. And I think the fact that like everyone that's here today and listening to Dateable is approaching dating with that mindset, in my opinion, that just puts you ahead of the curve. That you're like doing a lot of this work, and not to say you won't do work later, but you're already doing it. You're already in it. It's not going to be as much of a culture shock when it inevitably comes time to face it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I do want to talk about one of the moments in the show that I think is really relatable, where we had someone come on stage and like share their dating conundrum. And I think it's, again, such a relatable one. So we want to go into that in the second part of this. But before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
We had an event at Neon on Friday, and we had some audience participation, which we always love. And we had people volunteer, anybody who wanted to volunteer to talk about a dating challenge they're going through. So we had a listener come up, and she was describing the scenario, which I think many of you will find relatable. It's kind of like she went on a pseudo date with someone she liked.
Yeah.
And at the end of the date, there was like, is this a date? Yes, it's a date, but we didn't know till we just defined it as a date. And he leaned in for a kiss, and she was caught off guard. So she didn't reciprocate, but she still likes him. And then it was like the waiting for an actual like date, the next date, and waiting for that text. So her question was like, what do I do? Is this like something I should give up on because I hadn't heard from him in a while since that first pseudo date? Or should I do something about it?
And there were like a lot of life factors in here. Like she was talking about him like moving and all this stuff. And you could just tell it was occupying a lot of her brain space, a lot of brain space. And it wasn't a clear cut, like this person's clearly into you or they're clearly not. It was like that very vague situation because everything leading up to this was vague. They didn't even know if they were on a real date or not.
Mm-hmm.
So our take was like, just send the text. What do you have to lose? Right now, you're spending so much mental bandwidth. She was a thinker through and through.
Mm-hmm.
So much mental bandwidth on this. Let's just get answers. And she was hesitant at first. She was definitely hesitant at first.
She was scared. She was scared. She's like, am I coming off too strong? Like, should I give him some space still? Is he still moving? Like, you can tell there was a lot of internal conflict. And at some point, we were like, do you want to just text him now? You have all these people supporting you. She's like, no, like, please don't make me do this. And I also want to point out the fact that at the end of the event, when our show portion was done, she got a little emotional because I think it was overwhelming for her to even be in that space of like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm really frustrated and overwhelmed by the situation.
And even her friend, I was talking to the two of them. She brought a friend with her who was now a Dateable convert. So hopefully they were listening to this. We won't say names just for anonymity. But like her friend even was like, well, what's the line? You don't want to keep investing in people and sending all the texts and doing all the things for someone that doesn't return the sentiment. And absolutely, like we're not saying like just, overextend yourself for people that aren't extending back. But I think in this situation, because there wasn't any clarity at all, and it was, again, if she was just able to be like, oh, I'm not that into this person, move on with my life, then you don't necessarily have to send the text. But if you're spending all this time analyzing and thinking about it, I would much rather just get the answer either way.
I mean, yes. And what happened? She texted him. She
texted him.
Followed up with us and said, I took your advice. I texted him. She showed us a screen grab. And pretty much immediately he texted back and said, yeah, let's go out on Thursday.
Yeah. He basically was like, the move has been crazy, but I'm free. Let's do it. It was just so wild. And then she started getting in her head again when like things were delayed. And then he came back. It was like 7:30 tomorrow. Like to him, it was like already just like happening. And again, we're just like, just have fun. Enjoy yourself. Even if it's not your forever person, just enjoy yourself. And I think the lesson here too is she got an answer. Of course, in this scenario, it was best case situation. But even if the answer was nothing or I'm not interested, then you can move on.
Yes.
Then you can find the person that will meet you instead of wondering and asking your friends, asking us, asking all the people that don't know except for the person.
Yes. Do what you need to do to get closer to what you're trying to get to. If you're trying to get an answer, you're trying to find a connection, you're trying to explore this connection, what action can you take today to get you closer to that? And just by ruminating or wondering or thinking about it, or even going to a show and telling the whole audience about it, does that actually get you closer to what you're looking for? Probably not. Now, I'm not saying like, so glad she came up on stage to do that, because I think so many people in the audience felt that was super relatable. But it's the moment of, this is like at the crossroads of like, what am I supposed to do? Do the thing that gets you closer to what you want.
I mean, we've just been conditioned this way too. I think especially as hetero women, but what I'm learning is it's not just hetero women, it's everyone.
No.
We've been like told like you're not supposed to be too needy and you don't want to come off as too much, like all this stuff. And it's like, what is that doing? It's just wasting our own time. And in our investing appropriately chapter, which I think is a core part of the book, like that to me is worth the whole book in itself. We initially start off the chapter of like, you're the CEO of your love life. Get the answer. What would the CEO version do? A lot of times, like bosses at our job, even if we're not the ones running it, and we get the answers. We do the thing. We make shit happen. But in dating, we're like waiting passively. We're treating ourselves like the intern, like waiting for their approval and for them to make moves. But we're actually the ones that have the power to make decisions and make shit happen or to move on and not waste our time.
And then we just drive ourselves crazy because there's all this conflicting advice out there and we don't know who to listen to and what actually works. In a similar vein, after our event at Manny's on Tuesday, a nice man came up to me and he was like, I heard that it's not good to have consistent eye contact on a first date because it's too much. It's overwhelming. So I heard you're supposed to have walking dates so you're shoulder to shoulder and you're both looking forward. Would you suggest not having a dinner date as your first date? To me, I was like, this encapsulates why people are so confused in dating. Because my question back to him was, what would you prefer? Like, what are you most comfortable doing for a first date? If there's a restaurant you've been wanting to go to, you would have gone anyway. Why not take a date there to do that? And if there's no connection, it doesn't go anywhere, at least you still got to go to a restaurant that you wanted to go to. If you absolutely enjoy walking dates, do a walking date. Don't do what these experts or psychologists say, what gives you better connection. Do what's authentic to you. You are at the forefront of your love life, not what other people tell you to do.
To me, I'm like, is that even true? Like, is that even factual? It's so ridiculous. And then are you going to spend your whole relationship side by side?
Yes. No, our tables are going to be side by side. Our toilets are going to be side by side. Our beds will be side by side.
And then like what happens? Like you think like the first date, it's too much, but the second date, then you can now go to face. Like it doesn't make any sense logically. But I see what you're saying is like, we all think that we're supposed to do the certain things. And because we're not doing them, that's why dating isn't working. But the reality is like, not everyone's going to be a match. Not everyone's going to give you the answer you want. It's not because you did something wrong. It's just the way that dating is. And eventually you can do the same exact thing. Like you can go on a walking date with two people and one of them goes well and one of them doesn't. And that's not because you were on a walking date. It's because you jived with one person.
I mean, some guy out there found his wife on a walking date, and that was their first walking date. And then he spread this information to his friends, was like, y'all, the hack here is a walking date. You got to go side by side so it's not overwhelming. Okay, it worked for that one guy. It doesn't mean that it'll work for you. And also, some people hate walking dates. I personally hate walking dates. I'm like, I'm
Same.
so clumsy anyway. Like, I can't walk and talk and try to connect at the same time.
Yeah, here's a hack. Just ask the person what they want to
Yeah.
do.
Wow.
Like, figure it out between the two of you and what works for the two of you.
Yes.
So revolutionary. So revolutionary. I mean, honestly, that's so much of our book too, is just unlearning a lot of this stuff. It's not even, oh, we're going to give you 10 new things to try and tips. It's just going back to honoring yourself, whether that's staying true to your needs or dating the way that you want to date, not because someone else told you to do certain tactics and tricks and hacks that ultimately don't work.
Every minute that you use trying to figure out what to do next because you're so conflicted is a minute you're robbing yourself of the potential connection with this person. Like if a woman who came up on stage, if she had asked for an answer a week before, she might have been on a date with that guy already.
Right,
that
on
day.
Valentine's Day.
Right, on Valentine's Day. She kind of like had a week shift if she had asked a week earlier. Just get your answers. Like, don't waste another minute trying to read someone's mind or do something that's out of your control. Just ask for the answer.
I was talking to some of my friends, the ones that had known me like in my 20s when I was really in the thick of dating. And I said to them, like, I remember those nights where I'd be out with you all, but I'd be so preoccupied thinking about this person or checking my texts in the bathroom. And I'm like, I wish I got that time back. I wish I was able to just be present with friends and people that loved me, like I could connect with instead of, you know, these people that ultimately didn't even matter. It's like, even if in the moment that person never texted me again, like it was like a blip in the grand scheme of things. And I gave so much emotional time and energy to it. And we see this happen all the time. And again, not like shaming anyone for doing this. It's so human, but taking that step back and being like, what is the bigger picture here? Is this worth it? Or can I just get my answer?
And also be direct with your question, what you're trying to get. I used to circumvent the question all the time. Like I remember, I was just started dating someone before going on this long trip to Europe. And I was looking forward to seeing him again when I got back from Europe. But I didn't, instead of asking him, when are we going to see each other again? It was a lot of, hey, I'm back. How are you doing? Or how is the weather in SF? I'm about to land. It was a lot of that. And he gave me these one-word answers like, good, fine, great. When I could have just asked, do you want to hang out again when I come back? And he would have said no, and I would have had my answer. But for the weeks after I came back from Europe, I kept thinking like, I wonder when I'm going to see this guy without actually asking him.
And probably thinking about like, how am I going to craft this message in a way that he'll ask me out?
Yes. He had already moved on. Like he already like was dating someone else. I had no idea. I could have gotten my answer even in Europe if I had just asked the question.
You know what it is? Because I've been there before that like if you don't want to continue seeing someone, it feels weird to like tell them if they don't ask you out.
Correct.
Like if someone's like, hey, how's the weather at SF? You're not going to be like, so I moved on and I'm dating someone else and I never want to see or talk to you again. But then if someone asks you out, then you have the in to say that.
Yes.
So I could see him being like, I'm not going to like say anything. And then you're just like spinning your wheels, spending all this time trying to figure it out. Like when our guests that came up on stage, I was like, I can't even follow all that's happening in this moment. There's so many different like twists and turns. And I'm like, it's just so ambiguous. Like, let's just get the answer.
Let's just get the answer.
That's all we need to remember
from this episode.
Just get the answer. Yes. It's not worth it. And I think it's like our pride kicks in a lot of the time. That is what really holds us back. You know, we hear people like, I don't want to be the one to text first because like then I won't know if they really like me. And again, we're not saying like you're always the one doing it. Like if you find yourself always being the initiator, then you also have your answer, or you can bring it up to them and see what how they respond to that. Again, we're not saying like you are the leader of it. It's more of like, how do you get clarity in these ambiguous situations that are occupying so much brain space?
And then you can move on. It feels so good. Now you can
go on a date, you know? What if these people end up together? It'd be amazing.
It would be so amazing. And if they don't, that's also amazing.
Doesn't matter.
Like,
you
got to the answer faster.
Yes.
And clarity is the key to getting to the answer faster.
Well, that's the thing. Like I look back on my own story and I had one of these And eventually I just sent that text and I didn't
Mhm.
get the answer I wanted. I kind of thought it was going to be like that. But then it freed me up to meet my
Yeah.
partner like right after. So
Yes.
every minute you're spending like over analyzing someone that's not giving back to you is a moment lost for meeting the right person.
But thank you coming on our show. Yes. Thank you for being brave enough to ask that question in front of that
Yes.
audience. And thank you for updating us on what's going on.
Oh, we were so happy to get that update.
Yes.
So happy. We were ecstatic.
All right. Well, if you have a burning dating question, you know where to find us. Or maybe you don't. You should email us, hello@dateablepodcast.com, or you can DM us on Instagram @dateablepodcast. Or best yet, leave us a rating and review in Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. And in the body of your review, you can tell us or ask us any dating conundrum that you're going through.
And go get the book where you can figure out how to invest appropriately. And we had people being like, well, how much do I send? How much do I not? There is literally a table of when to take control, when to relinquish control. We have it all laid out. I feel like that was my answer to a lot of the questions we were getting at some of these events. I'm like, well, in chapter 6, we lay all this out. And I'm like, I feel like kind of an asshole, but I'm also like, it is literally all there. So we have poured it out in a way that we could describe a lot more than in a 2-second response on stage. So yes, it's all in the book, How to Be Dateable. We found out that there is an active book club going on right now through an app called Elixir, which was really exciting to hear that there is thousands of people reading this book. So please join in, even virtually. We'll also be posting information that you can bring to your own book club, like questions, and we have fun drink names that our publisher helped us create that correlate to the archetypes and some of the different traps and ways of dating that we talk about in the book. So make sure to download the book club guide, which will also be on howtobedateable.com.
Fabulous. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.